Hey folks, Jim Zaspel here with a question. Have you ever driven by a house that was run down, in need of total repair, and just downright ugly? Have you? Of course you have. Well, the question is, if you ever wonder to yourself, well, gosh, I wonder who owns that, they've got to be a really motivated seller, right? Absolutely right. So, if that's the case, the question becomes, how to make money with vacant houses. And I'll tell you that there is absolutely no really easy way to make money with vacant houses. But I'll tell you, if you're persistent and consistent enough at the stuff I'm going to lay out for you here on this training video, you will be very well equipped to make money with vacant houses. So let's dig right in. You ready? All right, cool. This is not a live video, so I'm not sure why I'm asking you questions, but regardless. So first of all, how to identify a vacant house. Let's make sure this marker works. All right, cool. How to identify. There's a couple of really easy things, like, the windows it's boarded up, right? The windows are busted in, that kind of stuff, right? You also might see a pile of newspapers / phone books. Gosh, I can't write very well. Pile of newspapers, phone books, overgrown lawn and landscaping. Just put overgrown yard. Okay, how about this one? This is really cool. Missing electric meter. Now, why would an electric meter be missing on a house that's vacant? Well, did you know that in order to grow and produce certain types of drugs, it requires a high amount of energy? Now, what are some ways that cops can, from their desks, detect potential houses that have like this drug growing operations going on? So look at the energy usage, right? So if you're a drug dealer, this is a little tip for you. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say this on the video. If you're a drug dealer, one thing you might consider doing is stealing an electric meter off a vacant house, swap it out with yours, and then go put the meter back, right? So point is, I don't recommend it, but that's what drug dealers do sometimes, and producers. And so if you're missing electric meter, then that's a good, odds are good it's it's a vacant house. Another thing is, another way to indicate there's no window dressings. No window dressings, no curtains or anything like that. Then you go look in the yard or in the windows and you can see all the stuff that's gone. Okay? Now, if you go look in somebody's windows and they do live there, it can result in a pretty negative situation. So you want to avoid that at all costs. I'll also identify, also just overall disrepair, okay? So you'll notice when you drive around the city, that's an R, I promise. So if you drive around the city and it's all brick fronts on the houses, there are no yards, and there may be a stack of mail or newspapers or something like that. How can you tell? So you're gonna look at the window trim. It's really busted up, the window's really old, the door's really old, maybe at the top, the soffit of the roof is really old, that kind of stuff. Of course, you could walk down the alley behind the row houses as well and see which ones are in disrepair. So the point is that you're looking for this list of different things to identify which ones are vacant. All right, now let's talk about how to find the owner of the vacant house. So I put a title here, finding, and this is really cool. This is really important. So the point is this: you identified a vacant house by what meets one of the criteria laid out for you. Then what do? You got to contact the owner and say, "Look, dude, you want to sell the house because I want to buy it," and you strike an arrangement. But how to find the owner? So there's a number of different ways. First thing you're going to do is you're going to look up on public records. Oops. Whatever. All right, public records. And see if the owner's address where the tax bills are sent is a different address other than the subject property. Okay, I have a virtual assistant that does this for me on my houses. So occasionally, when I'm bored, got nothing else to do, or I'm just early for an appointment, like I was recently in South Philly, I'll drive around, look for vacant houses, and I send the list over to a VA to look up. More on that later. I'm going to show you how I made $15,000 wholesaling a house doing this exact thing. So first, you're going to look up public records. And then what you're going to do is you're going to send a letter or postcard, okay? Keep track of which ones respond, which ones do not respond, and then make sure you follow up and maybe do some other research, all right? Next this is the not-so-secret NEIGHBOR, neighbors. Neighbors are a great source of information. Don't you think that the neighbors of ugly, vacant houses in disrepair would love to see those houses be repaired? Absolutely, of course they would. So if you see a vacant house, go talk to the neighbors. Maybe put on a We Buy Houses type branding shirt with your company logo on it, have a clipboard and pen, look professional. Say, hi, my name is Bob. I see the house down here, it might be vacant. Do you know if the owner is looking to sell it? Do you have any information on it? Really pretty straightforward. Next is you can do a skip trace. All right. So there's different sources out there. You go to findtheseller.com. We use one called TLO. But the point is, there's different ways to do it. So find the owners, do the public records, talk to neighbors, or do a skip trace. It's really one of those three things. Then you want to contact the owner and talk to them about you're buying the property. Okay. So how to find owners? Super not secret source. That is the neighbors. We talked about public records. And another one I did, so 1828 Mammoth Street in Philly. If you don't know, it's a pretty darn hot neighborhood. So this was a couple years ago, back before I was rehabbing too many houses and was not doing any in the city. I did exactly what I talked about a little bit ago, and that is I drove around I was contract meeting somebody. It's like a half hour early. And so I drove around up and down some blocks. I wrote down a bunch of ugly addresses of some ugly or apparently vacant houses. One of them was at 1828 Mammoth Street. And so we mailed out 44 letters. I remember this distinctly, 44 letters. Got a call from a guy, gave him his full asking price of I think $46,000, and we sold it for $61,000, $15,000. Really, really easy. Had it sold the same afternoon. I got the contract signed. It was awesome. So my question is this: do you want to learn more on how to wholesale houses and in-depth training on how to wholesale houses, how to get started from start to finish? This is the wrong slide. I'm sure it's around here somewhere. There we go. Come on, button. Let's go. All right, there we go. So if you're watching this video on the day it was posted on my blog, then tonight at 9 o'clock, jimswebinar.com, I'm going to go into a detailed 90-minute training, maybe even 2 hours, on how to get started wholesaling houses, how to make $5,000 to $15,000 next 30 days rehabbing houses, and also to go map out for the process of wholesaling houses from start to finish. How do you do a deal? How do you work with the buyers? How do you work with the sellers? How do you work with the title company? All this kind of stuff I'm going to make really, really clear to you, and yes, you will get access to the recording. If you're watching this video after February 22nd, 2017, then what you'll want to do is just click the link that's below this video on the page, and the replay link will be in there. All right, so go over to jimswebinar.com, register for this in-depth training. It's going to be awesome. It will be live. I'll make sure all of your questions are answered. I will see you tonight at 9 o'clock.